Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, welcome to Be My Guest. Now we have the other interview, and we have Gary Blanchard with us today. And Gary is Carol May's husband. Carol was just on. She's that poet, creative artist, crafter, you name it. Owner and founder of the Gypsy Cottage in West Brookfield. Welcome, Gary. Gary is our songwriter for when you listen to the beginning of Be My Guest. His song is the intro, Run, River, Run. And also we have him as our, they call it the exit song. And it's Under the Gypsy Moon. I believe it's the Gypsy Moon. And I picked out those, and they're so relaxing to listen to. They've just been with us for years. So Gary is a musician and songwriter. Probably many of you remember him. He was on with us, oh my gosh. We started in 2012. Temporarily, we were sharing space with the EMT headquarters building. And I'll never forget the first time you came on. You said you were wandering around with carrying your git fiddle there. We weren't sure which door to go in. And I think you asked someone, and they probably said, they're up there. It was funny, but we were so glad. We met him there, and you've been on off and on through the years. We moved here in 2015. We're going to be moving again, maybe. They're going to be redoing the downtown. The library may end up over there too. We're not sure yet, but it's going to be interesting. Yeah, another move maybe. So Gary is also, here's a quick one for you, a television interview host, and he hosts Creative Connections on Where Community TV. Can they see? They can't see that on YouTube. Is it just Where?
Right. You can go to wheretv.org, and they have a video on demand space. But you can also go to www.creativeconnections.co, and I've got all of the shows there on that webpage.
Do you have many musicians besides yourself as the host?
I get musicians, authors, poets, a dancer, artists, sculptors. I had a sound man on. I had a beer brewer, a tattoo artist, anybody involved in the creative arts.
How do you find them, or do they find you?
I mostly will find them.
Yeah.
A month or so ago, Carol and I went to the Berkshires for a long weekend and ran into a sculptor and artist there who was nice enough to drive down from North Adams to Ware to be on the show.
Yeah.
And, there's people I run into at open mics and things like that.
Right.
So
I find newspapers and community news advocates, things like that, they could be a great source.
Oh, absolutely.
Very much so. In fact, I don't know if did I ever steer you towards Rod Lee? He has his own, it's called the, he's going to kill me. Anyway, your newspaper, Rod. Do you ever get connected with you? Because you'd be a great story for him. In fact, I'll give it to you after the show.
Okay. He's
up here. He's been he's a journalist, editor. Now he's founded his own online. For some reason or other, it's one of those things that just went out of my head, but we'll get it.
If you're like me, it'll come to you when you stop trying to think of it.
Oh, I don't know what that, but the thing is, when I was a kid, well, not a kid, 20s, 30s, I could walk in a room back then and say, what did I come in here for? I've done this before, but if you wait a couple, oh yeah, I remember that. Or just go out and come back in, right? So you and Carol, you're the musician. You're the television host, songwriter, and Carol is our artsy craftsy poet. She's got the Gypsy Cottage. I mean, this is one heck of a creative household.
And I think, I know that Carol inspires me, and in fact, I have just started doing some digital collage.
Whoa!
It started out with designing CD covers.
Yeah.
But I decided to just do these collages, but using a digital program because I'm not good with paper, and I don't like getting glue on my fingers.
Yeah. It's intricate.
So the digital I'm kind of a digital guy, so
Yeah.
that works for me.
Yeah, and so have you gotten it out there yet? Or are you still working?
No, I just actually started it, and I do. Here's the. This is the cover from my new album that was just released Friday. And
Welcome to Wonderland.
you can hear it on Amazon Music or Apple Music, iTunes, all that kind of thing.
Did Carol design that cover?
I designed that cover.
You did. I see the crow on there.
Yeah. And then, so this is one of the new digital collages that I've done. And I'm getting them printed on 8x8 canvas.
That's amazing.
So,
So it comes out, is it on the covers of your DVDs or CDs?
yeah, this one is.
Yeah.
This will be on the cover of the CD.
Yeah.
But the other one here will be on an 8x8 canvas. So,
Oh, you too can go to an arts and crafts fair
yeah.
and do not only play, but also sell, or have your things that you make.
Right, right.
So but when you met Carol, did that kind of bring out the creative, the making that type of thing?
Yeah, I think that, Carol's inspired me in so many ways. I wouldn't be the person I am now without having had her in my life. So.
Oh, that is so sweet. We don't hear that very often, do we?
No.
No.
And I probably don't tell her often enough, but
Oh,
that's true.
hey, this is good. This is you're like my parents. They were lovebirds. Oh my God. They had thought nothing of giving each other a hug and kidding around in front of us. So I grew up thinking, well, that's okay. That's a good thing. It really is. So now, Gary, how can they get a hold of you if they want to talk more with you?
My website is www.garyblanchardmusic.com.
Okay. Now, and then he's working on, if they would like to be on your show, how would they reach you?
You can email me at garyblanchard.hughes.net, and I'm always looking for people to come on. The good thing is that the station doesn't require people to be local.
Right. Yeah, same here. They're from all over New England and beyond.
Yeah.
New York City, we've had it.
Yeah, and so it really opens things up, because I grew up in Baltimore, and there things are kind of very city based, but here everything is much more regional.
Right. Yeah, it's good to have people from, out of the country too, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So, how long is the show? Is it a half an hour? Right?
It's a half-hour show.
Okay, and it's recorded.
It's recorded.
Okay, and is it easy to get to if people want to be on it?
Oh yes,
It
yes.
is. Right, and where?
Right in where they have a really amazing studio. Very, very high tech. He's got 4 remote cameras. He sits in the back and operates the cameras from the back. But just like your show, we never cut anything. We do sometimes, like when Carol was on talking about the Gypsy Cottage, she has a little video she put together, and we inserted that into the program.
Right. Yeah, we've done that, sure.
So,
I remember when I first started out broadcasting and television, 1993, and for the first few years, every studio I was in, or even invited to be in, I hated it, the black surrounding, and then they got those hot Klieg lights right in your face.
Right.
I had many guests that by the end of it was an hour and it was live. When I started out, they had the sweat pouring down their face. I said, we've got the high tech across the street. You guys do that, and we made this more into like a living room setup.
Yeah. Very, very comfortable.
Yeah, people when they come from out of state, some people are very nervous. I mean, so we had one guy recently; his foot was going through the whole thing, and yet he did a great job. You go play us some tunes?
Sure.
Hey, that's
sure.
Hey.
I'll start out with the title song from the new CD, which is "Welcome to Wonderland." Not quite as soothing as Run River Run, but welcome to Wonderland. Don't try to understand. Things can get quite out of hand in Wonderland. You're running around and then you fall. First you are big and then you are small. Then it seems that you are nowhere at all, and it feels like you are everywhere. Welcome to Wonderland. Don't try to understand. Things can get quite out of hand in Wonderland. The caterpillar on his mushroom throne, the grinning cat that won't leave you alone. First he's there, and then he's gone, leaving nothing behind but a smile. Welcome to Wonderland. Don't try to understand. Things can get quite out of hand in Wonderland. The Mad Hatter serves you some tea, then you can't believe what you see. First you are you, and then you are me, and you feel you're everywhere. Welcome to Wonderland. Don't try to understand. Things can get quite out of hand in Wonderland.
The sound of your voice is enough. I think I took on one of my surgeries. I think I took I had my headset player and this type of thing, and I took one of your discs there with me to play it. And my two favorites probably will always be Run River Run and Under the Gypsy Moon. I just thought what it is. Those were probably about the firsts that I heard from you.
Okay.
Now, where have you been appearing, Gary?
It's funny because I've done more live appearances from about July on than I have in the last few years.
That's interesting.
2020 I got really into recording and put out 7 albums in 2020.
Another one that's been super busy.
And I did 3 at the beginning of 2021.
Yeah.
But I started going to an open mic in Hardwick at Lost Downs Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And the people running it liked to jam.
Yeah.
So I would, there was a drummer and a guitar player, and we would jam on songs. And so I started going to that almost every week. And then doing some other things. This Friday, I'm going to be in a songwriters circle performance in Lawrence.
That's up more towards further up than us.
Right. And then the night after Thanksgiving, I'm doing a full night at Lost Downs Brewing. And what they're doing is they're going to have a Christmas tree decorating, and you pay $1 to put an ornament on the tree,
sure.
And that money will go to the Jubilee Food Pantry in Ware.
Good.
And my CDs will all be available. I'll be selling them for $5 at that, and all that money, the total money, will go to the food pantry as well.
That is fantastic. How do people, if somebody would like to be a guest on your show again, how would they get a hold of you?
You would go to GaryBlanchard.hughes.net and send me an email.
And it's called Creative Connections. It's filmed over at the studio in Ware, Massachusetts, which is how far from here in Upton?
About an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Okay. I know it's near Palmer. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's near Palmer. it's sort of in between Amherst and Worcester on Route 9.
Yeah. Now, I grew up in Wilbraham, which is near Springfield, which
Right.
isn't far from where we used to come back and forth from either the Cape or my grandparents' Darlington. I remember coming through Palmer, Mass Pike, right? Or 20, I don't know what it is. You get off at one of those. And I remember, I know we went through part of Palmer, and I think we saw the sign Where. But when I've been down there for a high school class reunion, it's like out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Compared to, we're 20 minutes from the center of Worcester. So West Brookfield is right next to Where, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, P, are you going to be appearing anywhere else coming the rest of the year?
That's all I have lined up right now, but...
You're willing to travel, obviously, if you're going to Lawrence.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places. I would, again, like over at Dana-Farber, I know that they had a pianist would come in once in a while in the lobby. They had a guitarist briefly upstairs where people get chemo. And there's just so many places. Do you play any of the senior centers? There's probably tons of them in your area.
I'm open to that, but there's a lot of them still are not doing live
Yeah.
performance right now. So.
Give them time. You get your name in there. I tell them, get your name in there so that they know that you'd like to be in there. But again, like up at a place, when they get out of this COVID thing, like Dana-Farber in the lobby or upstairs, how happy is that? You've got Carol's beautiful creations, this rocks and all that type of thing. The patients can choose from that, and they have you to listen to. It doesn't get much better than that. Do you ever appear together, you and Carol?
Pardon me. We do some performances together,
Yeah.
combining music and poetry.
Yeah.
Particularly, for church groups and things like that.
That's neat that you could be together. I remember it was one January, was it New Year's Eve? You came here, and it was in the little beauty salon up the street there. It was a great idea, but I don't know if it took off, that idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been following that. I don't know. They've had events on the common, things like that.
Right.
And at the beach. Does West Brookfield know about you?
West Brookfield is getting to know more about me.
Yeah.
As I say, I really think focused a lot more on recording for a while.
Yeah.
But I've kind of rediscovered the joy of playing live, and I've also rediscovered the joy of playing music other than my own.
Yeah.
So, I still do a lot of my originals when I perform, but I will pull out some songs by Donovan, the Beatles, Little Feat, of course, Grateful Dead.
Yeah. What about, was it Peter, Paul, and Mary? Somebody was an inspiration to you.
Donovan was the inspiration for me with Catch the Wind.
And you gave me an album a long time ago. He was just a kid. You were a teenager, maybe? And you had started doing, I think, your guitar work, because it was an LP.
Yeah, no, actually, I was in my 30s at
You
that
look
time.
like a kid.
Yeah, that was back in 1986. And I was doing electronic keyboard, spoken word, some things were poetry leading into instrumental music. And I was doing a live show that included dancers and slides and sort of a poor man's Laurie Anderson.
You started, I still say, that was pretty early, but you look like a kid on the front of the LP. I thought, until you told me now, or you probably told me back then, but it's like, he looks like he might be in high school. But did you know you were into music when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I started when I was 16.
There you go. Were you the only one in your family?
My older brother, was pretty good. He could sit down at a keyboard and play stuff.
Yeah.
My younger brother became an absolutely brilliant bass player and was also played regular guitar. and we would perform together sometimes, and then he would, do, shows at local bars and
Yeah.
stuff.
So you two are talented. Were your parents talented like that?
No.
It just came out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Maybe grandparents.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could have been something like that, because it's obvious that you're very talented with that. Again, Gary, how can they reach you?
My email is garyblanchard@hughes.net, and the website is www.garyblanchardmusic.com.
And if you want to be a guest on his program, do you all kinds of creative things?
All kinds of creative things, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you could be, anything from a writer, a poet, artist, crafter, musician.
Musician, dancer.
You're open to everything.
Yeah.
And you'll travel. How far do you want to travel? If somebody
Well, for the show, we don't travel.
No, I mean for your guitar
for,
playing.
for my playing?
Yeah.
I'm willing to take a couple hours.
Wow, that's good.
Particularly if if it's made worthwhile.
There you go. Now, it just went on my head. Well, maybe it's the weather or something. It was pretty nice out there. Carol Mays, we just had her on, and she is the poet. She's an arts and crafter, and she is the founder, owner of the Gypsy Cottage, which is free to go to in West Brookfield. You can go in there, and it's like a beautiful fantasy land. You could be by yourself, and you could also have things for free. Not get much better than that. And we're talking with Gary Blanchard, her husband, who's been with us many times on Be My Guest, many times. And I never get tired of his music. The first time I heard it, I remember so much where we were, the room it was in, and I was like spellbound. I thought, this guy's really good. And it's calming. It's not, there's a calmness to it. I think my husband said he's like a folk singer. It is. It's almost like that.
Yeah, I come from the folk tradition, and even though a lot of my music now includes a lot more instrumentation and more and more drums show up in it, the song structure is still very much folk music.
Yeah. Did you ever have kids come up to you and say, "Gee, how'd you get into it?" This type of thing?
Yeah. Although, most of my audiences
Baby boomers?
skew to the boomer generation.
Yeah, the boomer generation. I mean, gosh, when you think back, we were too young to go to Woodstock. We were still too young for that.
Yeah.
But I have a son who is into that hip hop, in your face stuff. And a few years back, I thought, just as a lark, I said, well, I'm going to borrow Woodstock, the movie, the library. I'm going to get razzed on this because he's going to hate it. Spellbound. And I tried to tell him, we didn't all get into drugs and booze, okay? There were those of us who liked the music and, that type of thing. Didn't make fun at all.
Yeah.
Do you find that the young people in your family, do you have, nieces and nephews? Have they heard you play?
They're not that spellbound.
Well, mine was. I thought, and he is so far from that kind of thing. But I enjoy watching it. I'll watch it all the time. I love it. What was it? Who was it that sang "Coming In From Over the Shore"?
Arlo Guthrie.
On a big airliner. I thought he was talking about chickens flying all over the place. Ducks. I thought he was smuggling in ducks and chickens. But I first heard it. What is it? I don't know. There was something in the words. And then the Richie Havens. Oh my God! You go, our producer, Paul, our videographer. He is a doo-wopper. We call him a doo-wopper. He's just ahead of the boomers, and it's only like a few years, but it's like a different generation, and it's a whole different music. And I don't know about you, but it's just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's because of what we grew up with. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're always most comfortable with kind of what was popular as you came of age.
Yeah, I found out about your parents, but my father and mother, first was a dad, the big band era. He'd be standing there going like this. But the other thing he loved was shows like musicals, The King and I, Carousel. I grew up with that too.
Yeah.
So that I don't mind at all, listening to the old show tunes. Were your parents into any kind of music?
My mother was into like Frank Sinatra.
Oh, yeah.
And my father was a Cajun from Cottonport, Louisiana. So he was into Hank Williams and Patsy Cline.
He liked country music.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. Did he speak Cajun French?
You know, probably.
Yeah.
But he never talked about his life. I didn't even know he was Cajun until years after he passed.
That's interesting. Thank you for being with us, Gary. Again, we'll have him back on. It's been great to see you both. Really, really good. Drive safe.
All right.
Okay, we'll see you next time and be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.